Can you all see that you've just got an indication that this session is being recorded? Can you all see that indication? Okay, good, excellent. That means that it's on record. Okay, just very quickly, a bit of a revision. When you all sit for your exams at the end of this year, they will essentially be testing you on whether you are going to write a formal or informal piece. And the thing which determines the formal or informal piece is the tone and the audience, right? So who you are writing to will affect how you write, right? So please follow along with me. I'm going to show you this 2021 PSLE situational writing piece. The original is here, below. The original task is below. The task which I have fabricated or I've created is above. Okay, so the task above is what I created. The task below is the original PSLE task. Can you compare between the two and tell me what are the differences between the first task on top and the second task below?
Okay. The email on top is to write an email to your friend Jeff, and the email below is to write an email to your principal.
Okay, so one difference is that the person you are writing to is different. One is to Jeff, your friend, and the other is to the principal, Mr. Sim. Good. Any other differences besides the audience? Dia?
Yeah. After I put in on my class
The content you're writing about is different. For the first one, you're supposed to write about to your friend about who was absent about the planning session. But then when you're writing to your principal, you're asking for permission.
Okay, very good. So the content or the purpose of the email is different. The first task is asking you to inform your friend about what he missed. And then I think, Dia, you missed the second part, which is also to ask him to join you for the performance, isn't it? Right? You want your friend Jeff to join you to participate in the performance. Whereas in the second task, like you correctly mentioned, you're not asking the principal to do the same thing, right? You're asking your principal to give you permission because the level is different, right? So on one hand, Jeff is the same level as you. You're asking Jeff to participate with you. And you are, on the second hand, on the other hand, asking your principal to give permission for you, right? So with you versus for you. With you is at the same level. For you is at a different level. The person is a higher level than you, right? Giving you permission for a particular activity. Good. Any other differences you have observed besides the audience and the purpose? Okay. Of course, the context is different because we're writing, like Kanish said right at the beginning, we're writing a formal and an informal email, which we already know about. So the context, audience, and purpose are all different, right? The context being the formal versus informal email, audience being the principal versus your friend Jeff, and purpose being asking your friend to join you versus asking the principal for permission. And this will result in very drastically different email that you write. Everybody's clear so far? Okay, so what we're going to do now, sorry, Adrian, yes, you raised your hand.
No, I was trying to do an okay sign.
Okay, thank you. So what we have mentioned so far will result in a structure of email which is different according to the tone, right? Because everything depends on who we are writing to. In this case, Jeff or to the principal. And we're going to do the two side by side so that we can do a comparison of the features and to warn you also against overlapping. In other words, don't use a formal feature in an informal email. And don't use an informal feature in a formal email because they're very different, okay? And I'll explain to you as we go along in this review. Are you all ready? Okay, so I expect you to just follow along with me and participate and give me some cues about what I should be doing at different stages. And then I will ask you some questions about why this is different. And I want you to think about why it is different, okay? And then try to respond accordingly. That's all we're going to do today. It'll take about 45 minutes, right? We should be done. Actually, faster if you are fast, okay? If you don't make me wait too long for your responses, it should be quite good. Okay, right. So you should see on your screen that this page has been divided into formal and informal. Okay, there are some features that formal and informal emails will share. And the first, oh, I'm sorry, right? I'm just going to do it like this, easier. There are some features that they are going to share. And the first feature is always the same. What is the first feature for formal and informal? Thank you.
The date.
The day, thank you. Let's take a look at this, all right? Notice that the school recess was on the 28th of September, 2021. So, Adrian, can you suggest a plausible date for us?
29 September.
Okay, so 29 September, 2021, all right? That's fine. And I can copy and paste this also into my formal because it doesn't really matter right? The dates are similar. So first similar feature with formal, informal, we must always include the date, right? Next feature is the salutation. This is going to be different, okay? And of course, I'm going to put the same salutation header here because the salutation header is the same, but because the audience is different, therefore the salutation tail is different, right? So for informal, can someone please tell me what is the person I'm writing to for the informal email? It is not quite difficult. Okay, Dia, can you tell me formal, informal audience? Go ahead.
For informal, it's Jeff, and
Jeff?
for formal,
Mm.
it's Mr. Sim.
Okay, what is the name of the person? Mr. Sim. Very good.
Yeah.
Okay, excellent. Thank you very much. Yeah. Okay, so you can already see the difference between formal and informal, right? The informal email simply has the name of the person you are writing to, or in the case of your parents, just their title, dad or mom, right? But in this case, there is a salutation, what we call an appellation. That means it's like the rank of the person, Mr., Doctor, right? That kind of thing. So there must always be some kind of polite appellation, okay? That tells you the status of the person you're writing to. In this case, it's Mr. Sim, because he is someone older than you and therefore deserving of respect and acknowledgement. Okay, good. So we are done with the salutation. Let's move on to the first line here. Okay, so always remember to go to the next line and then start after the comma, right? In this case, okay, so who would like to tell me what is the very first element in the first paragraph for an informal text? Can you all remember? This is a revision as much as it is a review. Okay, let's hear from Brian. Brian, can you tell me what is the informal email's first starting sentence?
How are you?
Okay, thank you very much. Excellent. All right. And this is always a rhetorical question. It doesn't matter how the person is. I'm just asking politely. Okay, very good. And Brian, would you like to tell me what is the formal version of this? If you're not sure, you can tell me you're not sure. It's okay. I'll leave it to someone else. Brian?
Please allow me to introduce myself.
Okay, thank you very much. Please allow me to introduce myself. Excellent, right? Okay, and this is not a question. This is not a rhetorical question. This is a statement. I'm asking for permission to introduce myself, right? And okay, can I ask all of us, why this difference? Why is it that for an informal email, I have no need to introduce myself? And why is it that for a formal email, I should most of the time always introduce myself? What is the reason for that difference? Lucas, would you like to try to explain? Very good. Thank you for your responses.
Because like for informal, most of the
Mm.
time, like the
Mm.
person knows you.
Very
And then
good.
for
Yes.
formal, there's like
Mm.
sometimes the person doesn't know you.
Very good, right? Most of the time, I would say, right? Sometimes when you're writing to, say, your form teacher, the person will know you, right? So when you write to your form teacher, you don't need to introduce yourself. But if you're writing to someone like the principal in a white school full of 2,000 children, you will not probably be known, right? Unless you are a very prominent student. Otherwise, you will generally not be known. So it is good manners and it is practical to introduce yourself so that the person can come back to you in case there is a need for reply or follow-up action, right? So it is essential that for formal emails, you include some kind of introduction so that there is a means for the person to come back to you to support your requests. Okay, good, excellent. So now we come back here and you are Jie, right? Okay, so over here, who would like to try to introduce Jie to the principal? Who would like to try to craft an introduction statement for formal? Dia, would you like to carry on?
I am Tie Dan from the class they gave.
From, sorry, from the class they gave. What's the class they gave?
6B.
6B, is it?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, yes, from 6B. All right, very good. Thank you very much. So this is enough. There isn't any need for any further information, right? Because as long as the principal knows that I'm from this class, he'll be able to find me quite easily. Good. Okay, so coming back to informal, after my introductory phase of how are you, what is the next very important standard phrase that will follow the polite phrase in an informal email? Can you all remember? After I greet the person, how are you? What should always be the next? It's standard one, it's always the same one. Can you remember? Shijay, can you remember? Not really. Shijay's not very sure. Shani, can you remember? What comes after the polite phrase? It's always PP, remember? After polite is another P. Remember, I taught you all that's how you remember the structure, right? Yeah, okay. Shani, do you raise your hands? You want to try?
I'm writing to.
I am writing to. Do you think that that is the correct tone to write to someone who is your friend? What do you think? Is that the correct tone? The fact that I'm asking you will tell you that it's probably not, right? So can you recall what is the correct informal purpose phrase that starts out all our purpose statements? Remember, I taught you all this before, right? It's very standard. It's always the same one, okay? Kanish?
I would like to tell you about.
I would like to tell you about, okay? And let's stop here and go to the formal. Kanish, can you start us off with the formal version of this? It's similar to what
I'm
Shani said just now,
writing to
actually.
inform you.
Yes, okay, to inform you. And let's stop here. Let's go back. Remember over here, in the formal task, it says you are writing to Mr. Sim to ask him for permission. Now, why am I not writing to ask? Why am I writing to inform? It's correct, by the way. Can anyone tell me why I'm not writing to ask yet? I'm starting with, I'm writing to inform. Dia, go ahead.
Usually, there is two purpose statements in situational writing. So the first one is usually about informing you about something, and then in the end you ask for something.
Very good. There are usually two purpose statements in an email. There is a hidden one and there's an obvious one. The obvious one here is to ask for permission, right? But the hidden one is before you ask for permission, you must first tell the person what is happening, right? Because if the person doesn't know what's going on, how can you ask for permission, correct? So the hidden and the obvious purposes must both be included. And very often the hidden purpose is in the first paragraph and the overt or obvious purpose is in the last paragraph. That's where you ask the person to help you or ask the person to do you a favor. That's the call to action. That's the purpose that calls to action. Okay, good. So I'm writing to inform you, right? And in this case, I can say about, I will give you this, okay? A class performance. Okay, sorry about that. About a class performance. We are planning, full stop. And then let's go back to the informal. So I would like to tell you about, let's see, Shani, please turn on your camera. Okay. Can I just ask everybody generally, do you think the rest of my purpose statement for informal can follow the same purpose statement as my formal? Can I say I would like to tell you about a class performance we are planning? Do you think that that will work? I see some, yes, Dia, sorry.
No,
No, why not?
because aren't we writing about what we discussed, like the friends discussed? So aren't we supposed to like specify the names?
Okay, very good. So there is an added layer here because I am supposed to ask him to join me for this performance. But before that, I must tell him we had a discussion during recess on the 28th of September, right? Okay, so I would like to tell you about a discussion we had on 28th September. Okay, maybe we don't say 28th September, we say yesterday, because we already have, yesterday during recess. Okay. Do you all get it? Because he was absent, right? And you want him to know what's going on. So you have to state that because it's contextual information. Yes, go ahead.
Instead of we, aren't we supposed to like specify the names? Like Raj.
That will come later. Right, that will come
Okay.
later, right? Because remember, you don't want your first paragraph to be too clunky and you want all the details to happen in the second paragraph. So the first paragraph is just to state the polite statement, the purpose statement, and then the second paragraph onwards is all your details, the names, the dates, right? the particular information that this person will need to know. So always park all your specific information in the second paragraph. But it's a good question, okay, dear? I'm not saying it's a
Okay.
bad question. Huh? It's a good question. So always remember the first paragraph's purpose is to set the scene, is to provide essential information about purpose and about any other polite statements you wish to make to start the email out. Okay, don't overload the first paragraph. Okay, so during recess about performance we are planning. Okay, thank you all for being so participative and quick with your responses. So we are done actually. Now I want you to take a
Mr.
moment.
Pan, you spelled performance wrongly. There's a
Oh,
R.
sorry. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I want you to take a moment to look and compare between the two. Okay, on the left is the informal, on the right is the formal. As you can see, there are quite a number of differences. Okay, so you all must be able to immediately, instinctively tell the difference because otherwise it will take you too much time. And remember, in this section, you only have 15 minutes. It's very, very tight. So you must master the difference between the two and be very alert to make that difference. Yes, Lucas?
Why is it that for like the sentence you wrote, I would like to tell you about a discussion we had on yesterday.
Oh, thank you. I removed the on, okay? Thank you very much. Thanks for spotting that grammatical error. Very good, okay? So we had yesterday during recess about performance we are planning, and then on this hand, Mr. Sim, allow me to introduce myself. I'm Chetan. I'm writing to inform you about class performance we are planning. So notice the polite statement here is an introduction, and the polite statement here is an rhetorical question. Notice that the purpose here is slightly different because we are talking about a discussion about the class performance versus over here, you are simply informing Mr. Sim that you are planning this class performance, right? And then the information will follow below in the second paragraph, okay? Any questions at this stage? Actually, this is the more important paragraph already. The rest is just listing out down the information. But any questions so far? No, okay, good. Let's go on to the second paragraph. So second paragraph will include things like why you are planning this performance, the date of the performance, who will perform, what the performance will be, and all of that, okay? Now, I'm going to take it that it's going to be the same over here. So I'm not going to go into detail, right? Because I want to zoom in on the differences. So I'm going to put point 1 to point 6 as my second paragraph. Over here, same thing, okay? Point 1 all the way to point 6. Okay, sorry about that. To 6, okay. So I list down, all the information that I've mentioned. Right over here, I talk about why you are planning the performance, the date of the performance, who will perform, what the performance will be, 2 other details about the performance. It's going to be exactly the same for both of these emails, right? Do you all agree with me? There's no difference because whether it's to the principal or to my friend Jeff, I have to tell them everything. Okay, I can't leave anything out, right? Now let's go to the last paragraph, which is where the very substantial difference will occur, okay? So now we go to last paragraph, Okay, paragraph 3. So for informal, now can you still remember what is the standard way to end an informal email? Anyone? Can you remember what's the first thing I always write in the last paragraph? Skylar?
I hope that.
Sorry?
I
Go
hope
ahead.
that.
Yes, thank you, right? So that's the stem, right? Okay, so I hope that, okay, that is the stem for the last paragraph. Now, is it the same for a formal email? Is it the same for the formal email? Is it also, I hope that? Adrian?
No.
Oh, then what is
Yes.
it?
What was it? Wait. Thank you for your kind attention.
Incorrect. That's right at the end, right? You thank everybody after you've done the call to action and all of that, right? Yes, Brian?
Is it as the principal of the school?
Very good. Excellent. As the principal of our school, okay? Or you can put Simin Primary School, okay? If there is no stated school, right? Then you just write your own school, okay? Very good. Then I hope that you got it, okay? Right? Remember, Adrian,
Stefan,
thank you for your kind attention is at the end. Don't put it in front. Yes, dear. Go ahead.
if we do not write as the principal of Sinmin Primary School, will we get penalized?
No. The short answer is no. But if you write principal of Simin Primary School, you will boost your chances of getting a full mark. Let me explain to you why. Because you are including every piece of information from the given context. And it is given in a context that the person you're writing to is the principal. Now, if you don't park it here, where else will you park it, right? It's not going to appear anywhere else. It's not going to appear in the second paragraph, right? Yeah. So the only place where you can park this piece of information that's given to you on a platter is in the last paragraph. So you mention the identity of the person you're writing to and link it to the purpose. Because he is the principal, therefore he can help you. He can give you permission.
But this does
Yeah.
not apply to every
No, you're right.
formal, right?
Yeah, not. For example, remember we had that example on the form teacher, right?
Yeah.
First of all, you don't need to
You don't
introduce
need to
yourself to the form teacher.
introduce. Yeah.
Then second of all, do you need to say as my form teacher?
No.
No lah. It's understood, right? Because he's your form teacher, right? So he'll be able to help you. So this only occurs in cases of people who are very distant from you, who
Like
are in a
the-
position to
the-
help you. Yeah.
The bus driver, the company, that one. Would that work?
Like as the director of this company, right?
Yeah.
As the manager of this particular restaurant, right? Because they're very far away from you, right? So they don't know you very well. So you
Yeah.
are calling on them in their official capacity, right? So you're like saying, as the manager, I hope you can, as the director of this company, I hope you can commend this driver, right? That kind of thing. So you are asking them and you're relating your request to their position. Can you see the relevance here? It's kind of
Yeah.
like when you're writing to the president. Then you say, as the president of Singapore, I hope that you can, visit our school and, whatever. So his identity as the president is very important to your purpose.
Okay.
Okay. But in some isolated cases, you are right, Dia. The identity of the person is not important. Like your form teacher, for example. Okay. You still have to write a formal email, but in that case, you do not include his identity because it's not relevant to your request. He will do it for you because he's your form teacher. You don't need to tell him that. Okay, Ken. So now let's come back to it. Okay, thank you for that very valuable question. So let's come back to the informal. So we come back to the purpose statement, right? Over here, remember, write an email to your friend Jeff, who was absent from the planning session, asking him to join you for the performance. So after you say everything, right, what do you hope that Jeff will do? Right, it's very straightforward, right? Someone please complete this for me. Thank you. I want to hear another voice besides Dia, who has given us very good points already. Can I have Clarice? Clarice, can you try to finish this for us, please? Thank you. Carry on.
I hope that
I hope that
you can join us for the performance.
Okay, that's it, right? It's very simple, right? You shouldn't need to hesitate that long, huh? Okay. Now, I don't need to mention what the performance is because the performance has already been explained in the second paragraph, right? I've talked about what the performance is, what the two items I'm performing is all there. So I can just refer to this performance using the reference pronoun to refer back to the details I've shared in the second paragraph. Got it? So I hope that you can join us for this performance. Okay. Can someone complete the formal purpose for me, please? It's not that far dissimilar. It should be quite easy. Quite similar, right? Anybody else? Come on. Volunteer enthusiastically. Yes. Yuan, can you try?
Hope that you will give us permission to hold this performance.
Sorry. Yes, absolutely right. Okay. All right, that's it. Done. Okay, so let's end off both with the correct polite statement. For informal, Stephanie, can you give me the informal polite statement, please? Can you remember? It's a good thing we had this review, right?
Hope to hear from you soon.
Okay, I accept that, but the easier one is see you soon, because remember, your friend has been absent from school and you hope that he will come back to school so that you can discuss further with him, right? See you soon. That's it. Simple, right? Okay, or if you want to be a little bit more safe, I hope to see you soon. Okay, that's it. All right. Formal. Very easy. Already mentioned earlier. Quick, somebody. Okay, Lucas, go.
Thank you for your kind attention.
Mm-hmm. Right, so you're thanking the principal for listening to and reading your email, okay? Yes, Tia.
We need to write that I look forward to your reply.
Sure, because in this case, you do need a reply, right? So
Yeah.
yes, yeah, I look forward to. Very good. Yeah. Of course, favorable, because you want the principal to agree to your request, right? Very good. And in the case of informal, there's no need for any of that, correct? Because I don't need for Jeff to reply to me. I don't need for Jeff to acknowledge. I don't need to thank Jeff to read my email for reading my email because he's my friend. Okay, so then can you remember the sign off for both? Just to be on the safe side, we don't use variations. We always use the same one. Yes. Okay, Lucas, finish off.
Yours sincerely.
Okay, yep. Okay, please compare. All right, this is the finished work, right? Of course, I've shortened the process quite a lot because I've not included the second paragraph, but it's quite tedious and I think you all should be able to map it out, okay? I'll just do one point just to show you an important principle that applies across formal and informal, and that is using the stem of the point to answer the point. So for example, let's take the first point, why you are planning this performance, okay? So then, in the case of the reply, you will include the names of city, dev, and yourself. Okay, so over here, I will go in point number one. I will just put city, dev, and I are planning this event because, okay, and then over here in the formal section, instead of using the same stem, I would say my classmates, okay, city, Hima, Dev, Singh, and I are planning this event because, okay, so notice the point is, oops, sorry. The point is why you are planning this event. And notice the way I write it, I am planning this event because. So use the stem of the points. Do not invent or modify the stem because that's the safest, right? Use the stem of the point. And then in this case, City Dev and I are planning this event versus my classmates, City Fatima, Dev Singh and I are planning this event because can you tell me what's the difference? And why is there a difference? Okay, Adrian?
You have to emphasize that City and Dev is your classmates, and you have to write their surnames as well because
Why?
it's formal, so you need the principal to know who they are exactly.
Yes, and your principal will not know their relationship to you, right? They won't know that these are your classmates and they won't know that they are also from 6B. So remember when you state 6B, you are actually linking this to the fact that they are your classmates, okay? So putting their full names there will also allow the principal to, for example, apply formally for them to be excused from lessons should they require additional time to practice. So the principal will require full name in case there's more than one city or more than one dev, right? And they'll also require the relationship between you and these people. Are they from a different class? Are they from the same class? Okay, so that's important. Versus if I'm writing to Xie, right, in the informal, if I'm writing to Jeff, right, then Jeff is my friend in the same class, right? So of course he would know that these are my classmates. Of course he would know their names. I don't need to include their full names. So of course, he would know that we are going to form a group to perform together. So there's no need for the additional information. So you must be very sensitive at all times to who you're writing to, because that will determine the amount of information you include. Do you all agree with me? Right? So you may not be so sensitive to that at this level, but always remember, refer back to who you are writing to and think about what information this person would require from you, right? If it's your friend, you know he already knows all these things. If it's your principal, you know he will not. So you need to include it. Got it, everybody? So I leave this for you all as a comparison of the vital importance of the audience to the tone and to the level of information that you include in your email. Okay, can you all see? And again, I've recorded this. I know I'm going very fast because I don't want to keep you all for too long. And some of you have something going on at 4. So I just want to end a little bit quickly. But to summarize, okay, always begin by identify your purpose and your audience, because that will determine how you write your email, right? Your context, whether it's formal or email or informal email. Then always ask yourself, does the person I'm writing to require additional information, right? And if he or she does, how do I include this additional information into my email in a way that doesn't affect the flow of it, that makes it very smooth and very informative, okay, in the way that I write my email. And finally, be conscious of the difference between formal and informal so that you don't overlap into the other one unintentionally. If you're writing formal, make sure all elements are formal. If you're writing informal, likewise, make sure that you check that everything from your salutation to your polite phrase, to your purpose statement, to the way you structure your points, to the way that you call to action and end purpose statement, to your end polite statement, to your signing off and having your full name there as well, all these components must become instinctive. You must be immediately able to address them as you are writing it. You're consciously checking it off as you're writing. And this comes about through practice and exposure. Okay? So I want you all to take note of these differences, go back home and try to internalize them. So the next time when we write, I won't tell you whether it's formal or informal. You all have to go and decide. And you all have to replicate whether it's formal or informal. Is that okay, everybody? Do you have any questions? It's coming to 3:55. I kept my promise. It's before 4. We kept today's session quite tight, short. Okay. Any questions? Yes, Dia.
Like if you were to write to your parents, is it formal or informal?
Okay, that's a very good point. Whenever you're writing to your parents, right, it's usually by default informal. It's informal. Okay. Why? Because let's say you're overseas, right, and you're writing back to your parents to tell them how you are. Maybe you're on an overseas learning journey, right? You're in Penang or you're in Xiamen and you want to write back. You would write to them as a son, right? Your identity is their son. So you would not take on a formal approach to your parents. Very, very rarely would you. I cannot imagine when you would write formally to your own parents. But perhaps if you are writing to, say, a relative who is quite distant from you, and you're asking this relative for a favor, okay, then that there might be cause for a formal email. But usually when you're writing to friends and family, it's informal, right? When you're writing to your friends, people who are the same level as you, that is, okay? But if you're writing to a manager or, to a principal or to a teacher or head of department, then it is usually formal, okay? It's quite safe. Just remember, when you're writing to your own teacher, teachers are slightly less formal. So you don't need to introduce yourself because they already know you. So teacher is just the thing you need to be a bit more careful about, okay? But anybody that's more distant, like discipline master, principal, head of department for English, whatever, it's going to be more distant, okay? Okay? So just be sensitive to the audience. That's the point I'm trying to bring across today. Just be sensitive and then ask yourself, does this person need additional information because he doesn't know us very well or because she knows us very well, right? So I don't think she needs this information. Okay, can everybody? Thank you for being so attentive. I hope this has been helpful because it's been a while since we've done situational writing, right? So it's important that you all keep these differences in mind. So if you joined us late and you weren't able to catch the earlier part of it, I'll send out the recording really soon because it's quite a short one. Please go and review it, okay? And then if you have any questions, feel free to ask me both, like, when we're in class or like over our next Zoom sessions. I hope to keep our Tuesday sessions compact. Okay. So what will happen in the future sessions is we'll just have like pretty short sessions, but I'll give you homework. I'll give you all like things to go and read up on and check up on, so that I don't take up too much time you having these lessons. Can all? Are you okay? Do you find that this is useful? Is this a good reminder? Okay, I hope that this is value added to you all, so you understand it a little bit better lah. Okay, Ken, thank you for your patient listening. And if there's no further questions, I won't hold you back. It's 3:55. Those of you who have 4 o'clock lessons, bye-bye.